Imagine putting down a huge deposit, treating your rental with care, paying every month on time, and still having your so-called landlord try to sabotage you at every turn. What would you do if the person controlling your home hated you before you even moved in? In my case, I found a way to flip her power trip back on her, and by the end she lost her job, her home, and her mind. If you've ever dealt with a landlord or manager who thought they could bully you, smash that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most deliciously petty revenge stories you'll ever hear. When I first rented that duplex, I thought I had scored. The owner? Professional. Reasonable. He asked for a deposit, set fair rent, and that was it. The kind of landlord you dream of. But I quickly learned he wasn't the one I'd be dealing with. That role belonged to Giselle. She wasn't even a real manager, just a tenant with a half-rent deal in exchange for handling things. Collecting checks, arranging repairs, and lording her authority over everyone else. And unlucky me, I lived right next to her. She hated me on sight. No reason, no explanation. Just pure hostility radiating from her like a bad smell. At first it was little things. Yelling when my friend's car was parked 2 inches over the line. Knocking on my wall the second quiet hours hit. Acting like she was patrolling a military base instead of a quiet neighborhood. But those little things, they add up. And every day I felt the weight of her petty control pressing heavier. And what I didn't know yet was that Giselle had already decided she would ruin me, no matter what. And the way she tried to do it nearly cost me hundreds of dollars. Months later, I found out why she hated me. She had wanted a friend of hers to move into my side of the duplex, but the friend failed the credit check, while mine was spotless. The owner gave me the place instead. That was it. That tiny detail turned me into her enemy. By the end of my lease, her hatred reached a peak. My water heater began to leak, slow at first, then worse. Towels soaked, closet floor damp. I emailed her right away. No reply. Forwarded it again a week later. You might have missed this. Still silence. Finally, after a third attempt, she sent a lazy, "I'll look into it." But she didn't. Then I caught her outside watering flowers. I brought it up face to face. Her answer? A smirk and a threat. "I hope you're keeping it clean in there." I'm a stickler with inspections. If you want any of your deposit back. Fate intervened a week later. I happened to see the actual owner in the neighborhood. Giselle wasn't around. I smiled, waved, struck up a friendly chat. Thanked him for renting to me. He was warm, kind. Even said he was sorry to see me go. That's when the idea struck. Hard and clear. Checkmate. I asked casually if he had time to do the move-out inspection with me. He said sure. We walked through. Room after room, he nodded. Looks good, no problems. Then we reached the water heater. I stopped, turned slowly, opened the closet. The smell of dampness filled the air. I pulled back the towels, heavy and wet in my hands. I've been trying to keep it dry, but I let my voice trail off, serious. I'm worried about mold. His brow furrowed. Have you told Giselle about this? I didn't just say yes. I handed him a file folder with every email, neatly organized, every ignored request. His face turned beet red. His hands tightened on the folder. Are there other things she hasn't fixed? I showed him more. He snapped the folder shut, looked me in the eyes. I think with what I've seen, I'm fine with releasing your full deposit. But I wasn't done. I had one rent check left, $750. Normally I'd pay it, then wait weeks for my $500 deposit. So I smiled and said, "How about instead of me paying you $750 and you paying me $500 back, I just write you a check for $250 and call it even?" He shrugged, signed the papers. Done. I walked him out, my heart pounding with satisfaction. But if you think Giselle would take that quietly, oh no. That evening she came pounding on my door, and what happened next was one of the most glorious meltdowns I've ever witnessed. Bam, bam, bam. My whole door rattled under her fists. I opened it to see her face red, spit flying as she screamed. "Where's the rest of the rent? Pay me the full amount right now or I'll have you evicted." I kept my voice calm, measured. $750 rent minus $500 deposit equals $250. That's what I paid. Her eyes bulged. She stammered, "That's not how it works. I do the inspections. I have the final say." I waited, then delivered the kill shot. The owner already did the inspection. He signed off. "If you've got a problem, take it up with him." Her brain froze. She stood there sputtering, mouth opening and closing like a broken wind-up toy. And then I closed the door. Slowly, deliberately. Click. That image, her stunned, powerless face on my porch, is burned into my memory forever. A few days later, the owner came back to fix the water heater for the next tenant. As he worked, he mentioned casually, "My daughter's moving in. She'll take over the on-site duties," I asked lightly. "What about Giselle?" He didn't even blink. "She's moving out. She said she can't afford full rent anymore." And that was it. The end of her reign. The woman who tried to steal my deposit. The woman who made my life hell over 2 inches of driveway space, reduced to packing boxes, stripped of her half-rent deal, her little empire crumbling overnight. That's the thing about petty tyrants. They think their scraps of power make them invincible. But when the real boss sees the truth, their whole kingdom collapses. In the end, she lost her cushy deal, her authority, and her home. And all it took from me was patience, a paper trail, and one perfectly timed inspection. Sometimes, revenge doesn't require shouting or fighting. Sometimes, it's just about letting the truth shine in the right light. Watching Giselle's smug arrogance dissolve into shock. That was worth every penny of that deposit. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button. Tell me in the comments, what's the worst landlord horror story you've ever lived through? And of course, subscribe for more stories where karma always finds its way home.